Welcome to today's episode. In this episode, we chat to my friend Charley Bond. You may recognize her from season 8 of The Bachelor. We chat through what it's like to be on reality TV, leaving the show and then stepping into the middle of a global pandemic, and we talk about starting your own clothing brand. It's a great episode to highlight the realities of the business world. Sometimes everything isn't golden and businesses do fail, which we run through today. Take this opportunity to explore behind the scenes of television and the realities of starting your own business. Sit back and enjoy this light-hearted but in-depth conversation with Charley. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, here we are today with the Queen of Clothing, Miss Charley Bond. How are we doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. And special guest, Mr. Bentley,
Still
the
baby.
King of Puppies. My son is running around here somewhere, my first son, but he might pop up. So thanks for coming in. Love it. Appreciate it. Bentley's very distracting because he's very handsome.
Yeah,
Look at that
still up here.
Yeah, he's like, can I chew anything?
Absolutely not.
So let's run it back, way back to baby Charley. Maybe not that young, but school, primary school, high school, like what was your vibe? Like were you a naughty kid, scholar kid? Where are you at?
It's so funny you say either naughty kid or scholar kid because I was neither of those. I was actually a big loser. Like I had no friends. I got bullied quite severely actually. I'd say bullied probably from about grade 8 right through grade 12. And it was like quite severe. So yeah, I didn't really have too many friends and I definitely wasn't like the pretty cool girl in the popular group or anything like that. So yeah.
What were you bullied about?
I was bullied about my looks and I was bullied about being skinny. Well, because obviously I wish I was back to being skinny now. But yeah, I used to do a bit of modelling when I was growing up and a lot of the girls would get quite upset with the fact that I did modelling and they would say things like, oh, you're doing modelling for dogs and dog magazines and just horrible things like that. I used to do a lot of like fashion shows or I would do a lot of competitions, like modelling competitions, and the girls in my school would come and watch and they would literally yell out like boo and like, oh, she's ugly, get her off the stage. There was a lot of social media bullying as well. But yeah, I had girls try to chop my hair off in high school. I had girls put my face on a piñata and make it the target. Yeah, it was quite horrible, really. Yeah.
Did you go to an all-girls school?
I didn't. I went to a state school,
Oh,
but in a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think nothing else better to do other than to bully people, unfortunately.
Kids are awesome.
Oh.
I laugh. It's not funny, but like
No, they are.
It's hectic.
I used to be a runner as well, which is funny because obviously you being my PT now, you're like, what? But I used to be a runner and people, like I remember in grade 9, these girls came up to me and they were like, oh, we just want to wish you luck for cross country. And they're like, come over here. We want to tell you good luck. And I was like, oh, the mean girls are being nice to me. So I went over to them and they kicked me in the shins and said, good luck winning now. Like
That's so brutal.
The kind of brutal stuff that I was dealing with when I was like 13, 14 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked.
I know.
Do you, skipping fast forward a bit, we'll come back.
Yeah.
As a teacher now, do you see a lot of that? Are kids better?
Do you know what? Kids are so much better now. Well, from what I see, they seem like they're much better now. I think we're a little bit more inclusive now with people being different or, you know, I don't think there's as much bullying that happens on the surface level, but I don't believe that it's not happening. I think it is still happening. It's probably not just as obvious because there's so many different ways you can bully people now through online, like through all different avenues really. But
yeah, online is wild.
It is, yes.
If you ever have a spare 10 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'll look at this comment section and I'm like, holy shit, this is like,
can be.
And like as an adult, you can sift through the shit pretty quickly. Like you can go, that's clearly a fake account. They're just being a fuckwit.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. Or you've learned that people are projecting. Like, Jen, I think this is what I've read like most of the times, like psychology and stuff. Feel free, smarter people, tell me I'm wrong. But like people who bully a lot are projecting because they hate stuff about their own life for whatever reason. It's
true. Yeah. It's so true.
Or it's passed down. Like if the dad's not nice to the son and the son's nice to other people.
Yeah.
And so on.
Looking back at high school and being bullied in high school, it was always the girls who were like larger builds or, didn't have something going for them. And, now the same people are still stuck in the same place. They don't do anything with their lives. They haven't moved on. They haven't done anything.
Yeah.
So I'd probably be a bully too if my life sucked.
Did you find that, like, how did that affect you? Like, obviously it's shit. But,
Yeah.
But did it make you not want to do things, or did it make you be like, I want to get out of this one horse town? Or did it like...
Yeah. So I hated school. I remember there was a time, probably grade 8 or 9, I can't remember exactly, but around that time of my life, I would have been 13, 14. I would come home crying from school every single day. I knew there was no way out of it because I lived in a small town. It was the only school in the town. I couldn't go to a different school. It wasn't as easy as that. So I just had to be resilient. And I think that's almost now why I am quite a resilient person. I had to just toughen up and I had to just deal with it. And it's funny because looking back, like you think that high school is your life and you think, oh my God, like everyone hates me. I'm this like loser with no friends, like whatever. But now I'm the complete opposite.
Popular.
I'm so popular. No. But you know what I mean? I've got like such a great bunch of friends now. And I think back to that time and it really, high school years don't matter. But yeah, during the time I was obviously very upset and I was always so sad and I didn't know what anxiety was back then, but I think I had a bit of anxiety, thinking about the way I used to feel in my stomach about going to school and about walking past certain groups and things like that. So yeah, I just sort of stuck in my own lane in high school.
I mean, yeah, like whether it's anxiety or whether it's like fear.
Yeah.
Fearful of like, oh, these bitches are going to fucking kick my shins again.
Literally, or chop my hair.
Yeah. Like, yeah, whatever that is, it's definitely, something there.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was fearful. I definitely was fearful going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was fearful going to school. It didn't matter what I did. Like I got new glasses, I'd be bullied for it. I put a bit of fake tan on, I was bullied for it. I put a bit of makeup on, I was bullied for it. Like God forbid I did anything or I didn't put makeup on and I was bullied for it. Like it was just always the target. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not.
All right. So transitioning from pretty torturous, so to speak, high school, that obviously left you with like, I don't want to say baggage, but like maybe baggage, trauma, or, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Where to from there? So you finished high school, and then what?
I got the fuck out of Gladstone.
I was going to say, we got the fuck out of town. I was like, we'll see what she says.
I had turned 17 in like November 25th, right? So at the very end of the year. And I left town as a 17-year-old. I went to Townsville. To another town.
From a one-horse town to a two-horse town.
I know, it's so funny because I thought Townsville was this like big city. Like to me, Townsville was a huge city and I was going to live in Townsville. Like I'm better than everybody else because I'm leaving Gladstone, I'm going to Townsville. But went to Townsville and I started my degree up there in education. And I lived on college, and it's funny because I probably didn't have the best social skills in school, given that I didn't have very many friends. So it was kind of like at that point where I was learning social skills and, how to like be a normal person around people. And yeah, because I think I was a little bit attention seeking at the start, which is like embarrassing, but, I'd do things and not bad things, but you know what I mean? Like I'd walk around in like no clothes because I thought like, oh, that's going to get attention. So yeah, I was learning how to be a real normal person at that point.
Because that would have been a big culture shock, right? Like, yeah, Townsville's not a big town, but bigger compared to Gladstone.
Yeah.
And then you've gone from Nigel, no friends,
to having heaps of friends on college.
Yeah.
And all different ages. Like you're not sort of stuck with people in your grade. You go to uni. One of my best friends who I met at uni, she was a couple of years older than me. So she was like 20 by the time I met her. But it was so weird. Like I was 17, she was 20. And she became one of my best friends. Yeah. So
and that's a big gap, like 17 to 20 at that age. 3 years is huge. That's like 10 years in adult world.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
And then you discover, you're like, oh, this is
people aren't cunts.
Yeah.
Just those people were like, people are nice. Or people in uni are like, they're on their own channel, like they're there, or they make their own friend.
That's it. Yeah. And you start to realize that small town people are exactly that. They're just small town people who have nothing better to do with their lives, you know, because when you sort of move to a bigger town, because to me, Townsville is a small town now.
Yeah, I mean, Brisbane's a small town.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's so weird. Like it's true. The saying is like, oh, they're just a small town person. Like they're so closed off to everything. They're so tunnel vision on things. It's interesting. And I've learnt that over my time, you know, since going from Gladstone to Townsville to Brisbane. I just, the completely different people in all of those places.
Yeah. And then even, you know, people from like I grew up in Brisbane and then I was Sydney for a bit. And even from Brisbane to Sydney is a jump.
Yeah.
Sydney to Melbourne, they're probably like similar-ish sizes, like different, but completely different vibes.
So much more advanced.
Like Sydney is very corporate, very this. Melbourne's, you know, got its own vibe, and then you go to like Tokyo, like 25 million people in one city. Like, oh, like this
different. Yeah, I know. I'm starting to believe that Brisbane is a bit of a small town now.
Yeah. Well, the running joke has always been, I probably still says it now, but like the running joke is Brisbane's just a big country town.
Yeah.
Because it is.
It is. Everyone's still down to earth here, but it's big enough that you're open-minded and it's big enough that you have a bit more, I guess, like understanding of society rather than just being like stuck in your little bubble. Although we are in Newstead.
It's our own little bubble.
We are in our own little bubble.
Posh bubble. Posh millennial.
I know.
Gen Z bubble.
With dogs as like our babies.
Yeah. Education, bachelor education. So obviously you were like, I want to be a teacher. Your thought process is different now.
That's
so
great. Right. That is a great question. Look, back then, to be honest, I wanted to be a physio, but I couldn't do maths B at uni, and that was not maths B at uni. I couldn't do maths B at school, and so I couldn't get into the course as a physiotherapist. I'm glad I never did that anyway, because yuck, I couldn't deal with like deformed legs and like, you know, things like that. But yeah, I thought, what else can I do that involves sport? I was really into sport. And I thought, what else can I do that involves sport? And I thought teaching, PE teaching. So I was pretty excited to get into it. But obviously different story now.
Yeah. It's interesting that like you obviously wanted to do one channel and then you're like, oh, I couldn't do that, so I'll go down this channel. Just similar to what I did. I wanted to be a PE teacher. I had a really cool PE teacher. Shout out Mr. K. And I was like, no, I want to be like him. Like, it's cool, like teaching sport and da-da-da-da. And weirdly, it shows like how silly in a way the whole OP school thing is. Because when I graduated, to be a teacher, you needed an OP of 10.
What?
Yeah. And so I was a bit, not naughty in school. I cared about sport and
I didn't even get a 10.
Yeah. And I think mine was like a 15 or something, or a 16. And then to do IT, I could get into IT, but I couldn't get into teaching.
Right.
And my career guided person was like, oh, you just do IT, and after your first term, once you're in uni, you're in the system and you can just transfer.
Yeah.
So I did IT like a term. I was like, this is shit. I don't want to do this. And then I did something else and changed. But yeah, it's interesting how you just like path changes.
Yeah. Oh, if I had my time over though, I wouldn't go to uni because I've got a HECSTET now. I'm not making anywhere near as much money as my friends who haven't gone to uni. And like, there's no progression. Once you get to a certain point in your career, and this is with a lot of university careers, once you get to a certain point, you can't make more money than that anyway. There's no more progression.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on
the career. Yeah, but there's a lot out there like that.
Yeah, I think everyone's caught onto that now. So you got sold the dream of go to school, get a degree, get a good job, and that's like how the law works.
100.
And now everyone's like, wait a minute. Like, why do I need a degree? One of my friends, he realized school wasn't for him. And at 16 or 17, whatever it is, grade 10, I think you have to finish grade 10. So grade 11, he's like, no, I'm going to go do a trade. And left school, did a trade. And so by 18, 19, fully qualified on big boy adult money.
I know.
And we're all like fucking slinging burgers at Macca's at 18 at uni and like on $20 or probably 15 or whatever it is back then. And then, you know, now he's got 2 houses, cars, all that sort of stuff. School wasn't for him. There's definitely like other paths.
So many other paths. And that's what I tell when I do talk to young people at schools and stuff, and they say things like, I don't know if school's for me. I'm like, well, if school's not for you, get out and do something fun, because like there's literally no point in you being here, because you're not going to get anywhere doing something you hate.
Yeah, you can go and fast track your career.
Absolutely.
Go do a trade, go do something, go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
Although it is tricky because a lot of the jobs, like I always just stop and Seek every now and then and just see like what's popular or like
Yeah.
and they'll be like, oh, we want you to have this degree and that degree.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't a job that doesn't require a degree, but what they want is like you can stick it out.
Yeah.
But then, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Getting a bit off topic.
Yeah. So, teaching, and then, we'll head into Bachelor world.
Yeah.
So that was 2020.
Yeah, bajillion years ago now.
And your season was actually COVID time.
It was.
Yeah, which you missed out on in terms of like all the online stuff.
Yeah.
I got to admit, I haven't watched a single episode.
It's good, because you probably wouldn't have me on if you did.
Reality TV, not for me.
Don't lie. Tell the people the truth. You're a fan.
I can't do it. I can't do real drama, but like even fabricated drama, like it's all fabricated, which we'll go into.
Yeah.
And even like now with the newer shows, they're all proper fake. Like they're all actresses or actors. They're all Instagrammers and lots of stuff, and they're just going there to like build their
100%. Everyone builds up their profile.
I think at least everybody knows that now. So they watch it just for like, it's a show. It might as well be a scripted show.
Yeah.
Or like Married at First Sight and all those ones. Like,
I love maths.
I just watch even the ads. I'll watch an ad and I'm like, that's enough for me. I can't even do that. I'm like, how do people watch that? And they'll love it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go play PlayStation or something. You can watch shows. Or like, oh, football's on. I'll watch that. Like, great. I'll go watch a load of shitty shows. I'm like, perfect. And then you're like, oh, I'll watch it with you. We'll hang out, quality time.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching. I'm like, I can't do this.
There's only a couple out there now that I can watch. I can't even watch Bachelor anymore, obviously, since filming it myself. I think it's, I don't know, actually. But I think since filming it myself, you start to think like, that's not how that happened. Or because I did watch it the year after me because my friend was on it. And then after that, I was like, this is actually such a boring show. Like, why?
Because you've seen behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also just, I think The Bachelor is dying. It's very much dying. It's one of those shows like Beauty and the Geek that was great.
That was fun. See, I actually like that one.
It was great when it was
first
on.
Episode, because it was genuine. It was genuine, dorky guys.
Yeah.
And whatever you want to call them, cool, pretty girls.
Yeah.
And those dudes came out of their shell and it was real. And then I saw a few things. I'm like, oh, that's not even a nerd. He's a pretend goober.
Yeah, now they are like that. Yeah. All the beauties are like not like the dumb blonde beauties. It's like that. I have a few friends on Beauty and the Geek a few years ago when it came back, and they're smart as. Like they've got degrees, and I'm like,
they're just playing the bimbo.
What?
Yeah, and same as like Big Brother.
Oh, Big Brother's so boring.
The original, I must admit, actually, the original Big Brother, maybe in season 2 and 3.
Bring it back.
Love that shit.
Bring it back.
It was real.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, this is me. Everyone had a person that was them.
Yeah.
And I think I was like still living at home. Like this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you'd watch it and you'd like.
I have a confession. I was obsessed with Big Brother, like so obsessed with it that I wanted to go on it. I would literally like pretend I'd wear like little, like my headphones around my neck and pretend it was a mic, and I'd like pretend like I'm on Big Brother.
You would have been younger then.
Yeah, I was like 13, 14. Yeah. This is back when I was bullied in school.
That was your escape.
Pretend I'm on Big Brother.
So obviously we didn't think these things because you went on to it.
Yeah.
Why did you want to go onto it? Was it shits and giggles, or was it like, I want to find a partner? Or?
Yeah. So I'll tell you the full story. So essentially I was seeing a guy, and long story short, he turned out to have a partner and kids, but I didn't know they were together. He just told me that there was this person that he had been with in the past who had kids with him. They're no longer together. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Dumb bitch me believed it. And then it wasn't until one day I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw a photo and a caption that was like, today the love of my life said yes. And I was like, what the fuck are you on about? So yeah, I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to go and apply for a show. I'm going to go on, tried Love Island, tried Bachelor, try all of them, mainly because I was like really hurt by this guy and I was like, I really would like to meet someone nice. But I think in hindsight, it was more to get back at him.
It was revenge.
Yeah, revenge. And then I was also like, well, look, like what's the worst that can happen out of this show? Like I meet somebody, what, you know? So yes, I did want to meet somebody, but I also knew the chances of me actually finding somebody that I was into would be quite low. And also I was 25. I don't think I was even ready for a relationship back then, you know, because my now partner, Dave, I met him when I was 27 and I was still at that point of like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship. So yeah, I think in my head I was like, yeah, I want to meet someone. But then when it actually came to meeting the Bachelor, I was like, oh, I'm not ready. Like, I'm definitely not ready to like settle down with this person.
Yeah. So when you first got on, go back to like process, but while we're on the I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
That first night, whatever you call it, premiere night or whatever,
Yeah.
they're like, hey girls, like this is your dude.
Yeah.
Were you like, yeah, he's hot or nah? Or like too much else going on?
Walked down to meet him at about 3:30 in the morning because I film all night. Yeah. And I remember seeing him and I knew exactly who he was because I'd seen him from Survivor. And I was like, nah, not for me.
Not it.
And also, no offense, Lockie, love you, but he looked so much older. And I was like, oh my God, how old is this guy? Like, I'm only 25. I can't be dating like a fool. I think he was only about 30.
Yeah, can't be.
But because he's just like a little rough as guts guy, like he just, you know, had a bit of grays and a bit rough. And I thought, oh God, like he's like old. Like I can't date someone this old.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was ready, you know, and look at him now. He's got, you know, wife and kids. And from the show,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Irina.
That's like one of the rare ones. Right?
Yeah, they're so in love. It's so cute. But like she was ready, he was ready. Whereas like I just was not at that stage in life.
Yeah.
Like when I was filming, I realized that I was like, nah, like I'm absolutely here for fun at this point.
Yeah.
There's no longer.
I mean, it could have changed, right? Like,
yeah.
There's been loads of times where I'm like, yeah, let's be whatever you want to call it, bunny boy, like whatever. And then you meet someone, you're like, oh, yeah, no, let's date.
Well, that's what happened with Dave. Yeah, I wasn't ready. And then I was like, oh, I really like this person. Yeah, I love my life.
Well, there's like the flip side where you're 20, 21 and you think.
Oh, yeah.
You think you know.
Well, I was at 25.
You think you like when you're that age, you think you're the best. You're like, I know everything, and then now I like to say we're an adult, like 20, like you're an adult by law, but you're not.
You're not.
And you go, oh, you're dumb, bro. Like you thought this and like that's not how the world works.
Yeah. I would say 27 is when you can maybe start to be like, I've got a little bit of life experience. But even then, nah, like hold yourself. Wait until I'm 29 and I don't even feel like I'm, you know, of an age to give like life experience to somebody just yet.
Yes and no. Like everyone's got a different story, right? Like some people are spoon-fed and like, you know, if you grew up in this is cliche, but like if you grew up in a rich family and had no struggles and stuff like that, you'd have different problems, but they're the only problems that you know. Like this is your bubble, this is your world.
True.
Versus like you grew up in a rough area, no parents, you're on your own from 13. Like, you know, think about all the foster kids and stuff. Like,
I know.
They know shit.
Trauma does make you grow up.
Yeah. And everyone has different experiences in different realms. You know, people with one parent, no parents, two parents, gay parents, no school, foster, like.
True, yeah.
Well, let's go back to, so how did you get on the show? Because I think that's what a lot of people want to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure people ask you all the time, like, what's the process?
So you apply online first. I couldn't remember how long the application process online is, but it is quite a lengthy process. They ask you things like, what have you skeletons in the closet? Like, you know, if you could take one person to dinner, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Like it's super weird questions like that. And then you've got to film a video, which I actually didn't do. What happened was I did my application and then I was like, oh, like, is this a bad idea? I didn't do the video. And then I got a text message from producer saying like, hi, like we've noticed that you've started your application, but, you know, you haven't done your video. So could you get your video done? And then I was like, oh, okay. So I needed to get the video done, by like a certain time. It was like 12 hours away that I had to get it done by. And I'd had a couple of drinks and I was going out and I just thought, oh, fuck, I'll just quickly do this video. I couldn't even tell you what I did in the video. I think I was just like, hey, I'm Charley, looking for love. Like, let's go. And then I would say maybe a month later, I got a phone call from a producer saying, like, we loved your application. We'd love to invite you to the face-to-face auditions. And so I was like, oh, okay. And weirdly enough, at that point, it's like I knew, like I had this feeling that I was like on. And obviously there was so much more to the process than just that. But it was like the universe was telling me, like, you're actually going to go on The Bachelor. So, you know, like prepare yourself. So about a month later, went down the Gold Coast and had my face-to-face interview. So you do a group interview where you kind of go in and they make you do weird shit like dance around and fucking act like a monkey or whatever. Like I honestly couldn't tell you, but they make you do the most random stuff. And then from there, they pick out as many people as they want to send through to the next round. I think there was about 5 people in my group that got selected.
Do you feel like that group part was just testing, like, are they going to be good monkeys that will just do what we say? Are they comfortable on camera? Like, because obviously you're in front of groups, right? And like, you have the introverts and they're like, go do that. And like, no, like we can't work with this girl.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to be produced.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that they also ask things like, what's one word to describe you? So I think they look for like the creative ones and they look for the ones who would cause drama.
Yeah,
and
crazies.
You know, even the one like in the dancing thing, like you were put into a group and you were given a group leader. And I guess like, you know, does that group leader lead or does somebody else in the group try to take over? Or like, I think that they're quite like psychological based. And I think secretly they're like psychoanalyzing us rather than just being like, oh yeah, she's a great dancer, like whatever. So yeah, we did all that and then they picked.
So you did group and then you go after group.
So you go sit in a room and you're not allowed to talk to anyone. I was sitting there for about 6 hours and you're like made to be silent. Do not talk to anyone. You just sit there. And then you go into another room with 4 producers and a cameraman and you sit there kind of like this with the microphone and they interview you based off your application. So I remember they would have my application there and then they're asking me questions about my application. So, you know, they were talking about, oh, like you work in a prison. Tell us about that. Like, that's really exciting. What do you do in a prison? And to be honest, I think that's the only reason why I got on the show because I worked in a prison and I was just like young, hot, like 25-year-old blonde girl.
Yeah, you're a prison. Yeah, you're a prison teacher.
Yeah,
like, extroverted.
Yeah, so they were like, "Wow, that's weird." But yeah, they ask you heaps of stuff about that. And then at the very end of that conversation, they were like, "All right, well, if you're successful, like you'll hear from us. If not, you won't hear from us." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I walked out and I went to the little desk to like give my number back or whatever. And at the desk, she said, "Okay, I've just got to tell you really quietly, but they really liked you. So you're going to go through to the next round." I got goosebumps saying that because I remember being there being like, oh my God, like it's happening. I'm going through to the next round. So then she gave me all my next pieces of paper, which now when I have people who have applied for shows like Bachelor and they say they got through to the round where they talked to the producers, but then they didn't get anything after that, I'm like, oh, you didn't make it. Because like I know now, you know, if they call you back like straight away, you've made it through. If they don't, you've not made it through.
It's like, I don't know if you've interviewed people to hire people, you know, like you'll do 10 interviews and there's one person you go, that's a fucking person.
Yeah.
They outshine those people. I don't need to go and think about it.
Yeah.
Like, she's my top pick.
Yeah.
And then maybe if I need another one, I can sit down and.
Yeah. So I knew before even leaving that building that I'd made it on to the next round. And I know a couple of other girls who were there who I caught up with later on in the time said like, oh, yeah, I haven't heard anything back. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, yeah, neither. But I was also like, you know, waiting on a phone call from a producer.
Made it, bitches.
Yeah. So, yeah, after that, they do lots of phone calls, so many phone calls. I reckon I was on the phone probably like 2, 3, 4 times a week for like 2-3 hours at a time with a producer. And they would just ask you things like, what would you do on your red carpet? What would you do if someone came up to you and disrupted you while you were talking to The Bachelor? What would you do if this happened? Are you this kind of a person? Are you that kind of a person? And that went on for about 2 to 3 months until I finally got the phone call 2 weeks before filming started to say you'd made it on.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Was like in that whole period, you still haven't made it.
You haven't
Like,
made
you're
it.
probably in the top. I don't know how many girls there. 12, 20?
There's 25, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe your top 50.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, she's probably in, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you do psych tests as well, and you do like medicals as well.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
But even then, I remember doing my psych test, and the psychologist said to me, look, just because we're doing this doesn't mean you've made it on. It's just a part of the process. And I was like, okay, cool.
We go from getting the call that you're in.
Yeah.
Then obviously they give you the opening night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Run me through the opening night. Are you pumped? Are you nervous? Because it's like there's a lot going on. It's a whole show.
Yeah.
You're trying to win this dude over. There's cameras everywhere. Yeah, like you're all girls, and like you're all like trying to be nice to each other. But surely you're all like low key, like, nah, fuck this bitch. Like, is there any of that kind of vibes?
There definitely was from other girls, not from me. Cool. Again, I think in my head, I wasn't really technically ready for a boyfriend. So I was kind of like, whatever. Funny story about the opening night. It's actually filmed over 2 nights. It's not just one night. And you know how everyone walks in and goes like, oh my God, hi, like lovely to meet you. We've already met each other.
The girls?
The girls have already met each other. I was roomed with one of them for 3 days before going in. And then when you get ready before, like the night that they sort of introduce you to the Bachelor, everyone goes to a big like hall and everybody gets ready. You get your hair and makeup done. You sit there. I was probably there for about 10 hours with the other girls. They try to tell you not to talk to each other, but you know, you're not going to stop us from talking to each other. So everyone knows each other. And then, it's filmed over 2 nights. So everybody walks down and meets him on the first night, but then the cocktail party happens the second night. It does happen for like an hour on the first night, but then once that's done, everyone's met him. You've had an hour at the cocktail party. They say, all right, we're going to cut it here. We're going to come back tomorrow. And they put us all on a bus. We went back to the hotel that we were at. They didn't tell us that this is what was going to happen, by the way. We had no idea. So it's about 4:30 in the morning at this point. We get put back on a bus. By the time we get back to our hotel, it's probably about 6 a.m. And they say, go to sleep. And then they came back at 9 a.m., woke us all up. So 3 hours sleep. Took us back to the mansion to do it all over again. So they redid our hair and makeup the exact same. We put on the same outfit, and they have this thing called hurry up and wait. And so they want to get everybody ready, and then everyone's ready by a certain time and you just wait. And I think it's so that they know that everyone's going to be done and ready and no one's going to be running late.
Yeah.
So
that'd be logistics. Like,
yeah,
they don't give a fuck that you're sitting there.
Yeah,
they
can
make
care.
sure like hair and makeup's in. All right, hair and makeup's done. Wardrobe done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually insane how it all happens because you don't see that watching it. So someone like me who's never been involved in TV before, you know, you go in and you're like, what is this? Like, is this seriously how TV works? I just remember being so tired, so tired. Because again, the cocktail party doesn't start till about 8 p.m. at night. The first one went until about 3, 4 in the morning. So the first rose ceremony that you see, we are literally running off 3 hours sleep across a 48-hour day. And the rose ceremony is happening at 4 a.m. that morning.
It makes for good TV though, because you're cranky.
Yes.
You're drinking.
Yes.
So you're like a little bit bitchy, a little bit on edge. You're like over it.
Yeah.
And then that's the good shit. That's the bitchy shit comes out.
Yeah. I remember thinking I couldn't care less if I get a rose right now. Like I was sitting on that.
Done.
I was like, get me the fuck into bed. I'm so tired. And then when I got a rose, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I got a rose. I'm staying. But I couldn't imagine how it would have been to be one of the girls to leave on that first night because you've just done 48 hours of like no sleep and you're tired and then you quit your job and now you're going home.
Get rejected. Yeah. It'd still be an experience though. Like obviously it's still like I did this and I learned this and it would hurt.
Yeah. They don't even get to live in the mansion.
Yeah, true. Okay. So episode 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that 7 weeks?
No, well, it would normally be 7 weeks,
Yeah,
but because of COVID, no. So normally they would film weekly. So you'd do like a cocktail party, like one cocktail party a week, one group date a week, one single date a week. But because of COVID, they were doing like 2 cocktail parties, 2 group dates, 2 single dates. It was very rushed. So the very first 2-3 weeks that I was there, it was like one a week. And then
Because that was no COVID.
yeah, because that was like when COVID had just started coming around. Yeah. But then when COVID became an actual issue, I remember them just rushing it. So it was like a cocktail party on a Monday night, and then it would be like group date, single date, cocktail party, and rose ceremony Wednesday night, group date, single date. Like it was like very, very rushed. And so I was only actually away and in the mansion for I think about 4.5, 5 weeks. But if I was to do the whole weekly thing, it probably would have been longer. Yeah.
Because when COVID was around, were you not all in the same mansion? Like, because you're on the same mansion, right?
Yeah, and we were.
You probably don't know the answer to this, but I wonder what it was like because you could be isolated. So, like, everyone in the mansion is together, no one has it.
Yeah.
So I wonder maybe it was like staff and camera crew.
So no one actually knew what was going on because we didn't have access to internet, TVs, nothing. There was nothing there. You couldn't watch the TV, you couldn't watch the news. So I just remember it would have been about week 3. The executive producer came in and she said to us, we need to talk about this coronavirus that's going around. Like, we actually need to talk about it. And at that point, they said that people are now, like, football games are happening, but people are not watching them. You're not allowed to go to the stadiums. And at that point, I was like, isn't this thing just a cold? Like, why is everyone going crazy about it? And that was about as much information as they gave us. They also started bringing back less and less groceries. And they were saying, oh, the grocery stores are empty. And we were like, but why? Like, why would the grocery stores be empty? And they're like, oh, we don't know. They're just like, people are just panic buying for no reason. We're like, oh, that's weird. And so, yeah, less and less groceries. The executive producer said, oh, no one's watching the football games anymore. No one's sort of going out to the shops. Like, it's getting a little bit, it's becoming bad. And then it was week 4 when it was the cocktail party and rose ceremony, and Osher came in at the end and said, I need to let you girls know that, this has become a global pandemic. And I'm like, what the fuck's a global pandemic? Like, I had no idea what that meant. And I was like, okay, cool, global pandemic, whatever that means. And everyone started freaking out. And then we were allowed a phone call home to make sure everyone was safe, because you're only allowed 1 10-minute phone call every 2 weeks. And I remember calling my sister, who's a doctor, and I said, what is going on? And she was like, yeah, no, like, it's real, like, it's serious. She's like, you're not allowed out, everyone's in lockdown, XYZ. And I was like, what? So yeah, I was not exposed to it. No idea. I was literally like trapped in this house, almost like prison in a way, because she couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And this whole thing was happening on the outside world, and I had no idea about it.
It's like your own little bubble.
Yeah.
Did you, when you left, what was the world vibe? Was it still,
so
we did like different, like we did lockdown and no lockdown?
Yeah. You guys, everyone was in lockdown when I left, and I remember getting, because after the rose ceremony they take you to a hotel if you get eliminated, and then from the hotel we went to the airport, and there was no cars on the road, and this is Sydney, right? Yeah. So I'm like,
that'd be creepy coming from your own little bubble.
Yeah.
To like almost like zombie movies where
no one was on the road. And I thought, we're in Sydney. Like, get to the airport, no one's in the airport. And there were police walking around, and we were just like, what the hell is going on? I remember flying into Brisbane and getting off the plane, and there was army, fire, and police, and they were all there with like your declaration to say you're from Queensland. And I was like, what is going on? And yeah, my housemate picked me up and she said, these are the rules. You're only allowed out for 1 hour a day.
You've gone from one jail to another.
Yeah, you're only allowed out.
But now you're not in a mansion.
Exactly. I was in a little shitty apartment. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. I literally thought she was joking when she said you can only go out for 1 hour a day. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what, I'm in solitary confinement for 23, like, and you're only allowed out for these 4 reasons. And yeah, so weird. So fucking weird.
That's funny because it's like you've gone from one to another.
Yeah.
And also, I get it because they tell you what you need to know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like there's that clip, one, I think it was an overseas Big Brother, and they were in, because Big Brother's the same, right?
Yes.
They don't get anything. And then they were like, oh, by the way, the world's shut down.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, we've never had anything, like the world. Oh,
yeah.
We didn't.
No.
Like, there was polio and all that stuff, but like for us, never anything like that. So like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, we just locked inside.
And you go into these things. Like, I went into The Bachelor, everything normal. You know, like tons of people are out whatever, to leaving the mansion and being like, where is everyone? What is happening? Like the world was normal and it's been 5 weeks. I've been in this house, which I only left once for one group date. And now it's, nothing's there.
What was it like on the, is it eliminated, I guess you'd call it? Like,
Yeah.
you didn't get the rose.
Yeah.
Were you hurt or were you like,
No.
I don't care anymore. It's like my ride's over.
I was very much like probably 2 rose ceremonies before this. I was like, oh, this is probably my time. Like he's up. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I knew there was nothing there from day one, but I really knew there was nothing there, even on his end. I was like, there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was kind of only staying just for fun. Like I could have walked out, but I was like, no, this is a really cool experience.
Why would you?
So yeah, I was very much expecting to leave that day. And when I did leave, I was like, yeah, fair enough. Like there is really nothing there. I was a little bit like annoyed though, because I was having the best time and I didn't want to leave because it was so much fun. So it was more FOMO of the experience rather than FOMO of not getting the guy.
Yeah.
I couldn't really care less about him. I was like, just keep me in for fun.
Yeah.
Like, can we be friends?
See, you said like from the beginning, like episode 2 or whatever, you're like, nah. And then you could tell us nothing from him. Do you think from his perspective, or maybe producers as well, because we know a lot of it is like, oh no, keep that girl in.
I was
psycho. Do you reckon you're like, oh, she's fun, she's cool, we'll keep her in?
I was kept in by producers 100%. There is not one chance that Lockie would have been like, I see something with Charlie, like let's get to know it. No. I think I was kept in from producers because I was like loud and outgoing and fun. And I think also by the time it got to the rose ceremony that I didn't get a rose, I had sort of simmered down a bit and I was a bit like, okay, like I'm probably not gonna, be super out there anymore. And I wasn't causing any drama. And I remember that night they actually did ask me to cause a bit of drama and I was like, nah, I don't really care like for drama. So yeah, it made sense when I did get eliminated.
Episode 7 is probably like halfway. You're getting to the business end of like, no, these 5 women left, I actually want to pursue.
Yeah.
So why would I keep Charlie around? Unless the producer's like, no, we need that firecracker in there. You weren't a firecracker. No. Go fuck shit up. You're like, nah.
They did keep firecrackers in there, the ones who were drama. Yeah. So it makes sense why they were kept in over me. Do you know what I mean? If I was a drama startup, you best believe I probably would have stayed till top 5.
Of course.
Because they always do that.
Yeah.
But I just
that's how you would.
My reputation, I was like, I don't want to come off this like a loser.
Yeah. And that's the risk now. I think you're probably one of the last few seasons where that was probably like genuine, like because you went in it to genuinely, find someone / whatever. But now it's very like, oh, we need that actor, we need that actress, we need to like make TV, scripted reality.
Yeah. It's not scripted as such, but it is very much set up.
It's not scripted, but it's
so set up.
I say scripted, little commas, because it's like she's not in it. We want her in because she's a firecracker. So it's like they're controlled.
Yes. Yeah. They control the narrative. You'll be sitting there doing actuality and we'll be talking about whatever and they can hear you on your mic and they'll come over to you and say, well, hang on, let's get talking about this drama that happened yesterday. Let's talk about that. That's how they get the narrative that they want is they tell you what to talk about. You don't get to just talk freely. Believe me, I'm not sitting around having coffee and asking about, how do you guys think Irina's date's going? Or no, we were talking about like how we like to have sex with boys. Like, do you like getting choked? Like,
It's like, no, we don't want that.
Yeah, then they'll come over and be like,
jealousy in the mix.
Exactly. Exactly.
What's I don't know if you were probably too early. Speaking of choking, you're probably too early. Like, is it surely when you get to top 3, there's a bit of sleeping going on? Right?
No. The Bachelor stays in his house. You stay in your house. You are only allowed to mingle and speak with the Bachelor when there's a producer and a TV man there, like a cameraman. Right. So when I did the mud bath with him, while they were setting up the cameras, they literally had a minder standing in between me.
Babysitter.
Literally. A minder stood here and I stood there and they were like, do not talk, don't even look at each other, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's so unromantic.
So weird. And I mean, at that point, there was nothing there anyway.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I kind of just want to be friends with this guy now. Like, he seems kind of cool and he's going to like marry one of my best friends. So
yeah. But how do you like, it'd be hard. Like you're sitting there having a mud bath, right? Which
Yeah.
is meant to be romantic. Like, well, not romantic.
Yeah,
like,
it was meant to be.
Yeah,
but-
it's intimate, right? But then you got Debbie on film. You got the producer. You got the cameraman.
Yeah, and I wasn't intimate either, so I was just like,
You like stuff.
like that was for the camera. Absolutely, I was not. Nah, there was nothing there, and it was so awkward because there was nothing there, and I was just rubbing mud on this guy, and I'm like,
drawing penis.
yeah, oh yuck. Anyway,
When you left the show, like probably actually it's probably unique. I was going to say, like, when you left the show, did you feel like you were treated differently from people that you know and that sort of stuff? But being in the middle of COVID, everyone else was probably a little bit preoccupied with fuck the government.
yeah. So absolutely get treated differently. First of all, people who have never spoken to you or, spoke to you one time, all of a sudden are your best friend, and they're like, oh my God, my friend's on Bachelor or whatever. Mind you, of course, couldn't tell anyone yet until it comes out, but I'd been papped and things like that. So people had seen it in the tabloids. But yeah, it's funny how people do all of a sudden want to be your best friend, and they want to know everything, and like, oh my God, my friend's on Bachelor, and like, come and meet my friend. Like, my friend's obsessed with the Bachelor. And yeah, you become somebody, but to these people, you're only somebody to them for like 5 minutes while you're like famous in their head. But yeah, I would say definitely you get treated differently. Even going into clubs and stuff. Like, there was a time where after the show we went on like a little club tour in the Gold Coast, and we got literally walked around by security, and it was so weird. Like, we just got free drinks.
By
and
you, by them?
No, not by us. Like, so it had been organized to go to like these bars, and we're like, yeah, absolutely, we'd love to go. And then it was like security would take us from like this club to this club to this club to this club. And it was, like drinks and take photos and like have the paparazzi following you. And it was so weird because I'm like, I'm just this girl who literally teaches Monday to Friday in a prison.
Used to bogan from Gladstone.
And like, I'm on a Saturday night, I'm getting walked around the Gold Coast like I'm this celebrity. And people are literally coming up to you being like, oh my God, like, can I get a photo? And you've got so many people coming up to you doing that, and you're like, this is so fucking weird. Like, I am just a normal person. I'm not what you think I am.
Yeah. Did you hate it or low-key love it for like 5 minutes and then it got old?
I loved it. Like, and I felt really good because, as weird as it sounds, like I made people's day by them asking for a photo. Like, they thought I was this famous person. I didn't think for a second I was famous, but if it's going to make someone's day and they're going to be like, oh my God, I met Charley from The Bachelor, like, it made me so happy to feel like I could actually give them something.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a photo, because there was girls on the show who, people would ask for a photo and they'd be like, oh, no, go away. And I'm like, bitch, you were nobody 20 minutes ago. It's just that you were on TV. There's no talent to be on reality TV. There's absolutely no talent. You're not an actress. Like, you haven't just gone on, done the Barbie movie or something. Like, you're nobody. Shut up. Stop acting like you're too good for your fans. Like, be nice to them.
Without the viewers, you don't have a show. Exactly.
And like, I will stand there and say, you don't need talent to be on a show like that. You just need to be picked. And I think it's just pure luck sometimes, So
did it feel nice going from obviously being high school and stuff? Yeah. You love
so fucking good.
Yeah.
I was like low key hoping that we would have a reunion, because I thought,
like a high school
reunion. Yeah. Like, imagine me prancing in now, like, I've got a following on TikTok, I've been on TV. People, not anymore, but at the time, people thought I was famous, and, going from being bullied to being like someone in people's eyes. It was nice. And funny you asked that, actually, because there was a few people from high school who would message other people from high school who I was, friends with still. Like, oh, it's Charley Bond on The Bachelor. Like, what the fuck? Like, does she even get far? Like, full jealous. And then I'd get other ones who'd be like, oh my God, like, I knew you would get on TV. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like,
the ass kissing.
Yeah. Horrible to me in school. Don't pretend like we're friends.
Yeah. It's like when you win they say like when you win the lotto, or your friends come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
$5,000. You have a partner now.
Yeah.
So obviously dating shows are out of the picture. Would you ever do a reality show again, like Survivor, or there's a brand new one that was like whatever concept, not dating? Would you do it?
I think
Squid Games?
like a small part of me, like I loved The Bachelor. Like I absolutely loved doing it. And I always said afterwards I would always do another show if anything ever popped up. But now that I'm like so madly in love with my boyfriend and I have a child.
Fur child.
I have a fur child. I think I'm pretty set. Like I think my life is almost at a point where it's complete and I don't need to do these experiences anymore. Like I think I'm really happy with where I am. And I also just think like I'm getting to that age where like I think I need to start really focusing on a career that I enjoy, setting myself up, you know, for something that's realistic, because influencing is not realistic. Let me tell you that. So honestly, I think the answer would be no. Yeah.
I always get torn because I would want the experience. Like I like experiencing things, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But not knowing, like obviously from this conversation and kind of knowing other bits and pieces, like how those shows work, and it's nothing like what you think it is, really turns me off.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure like Survivor, like you think it's like this, but then you read, oh no, there's like a housing over there that they stay at, and they just kind of like the camera crew's fine, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a weird concept now. Like to think going back into doing that all again. I'm like, oh, I've kind of had my time.
Yeah, you did it, right?
I've
ticked
done
that
it.
box.
Yeah. And I don't know if I could do the whole like be everyone in my face, like wanting photos again. Like I loved it when it happened, but now I'm like, oh, I'm a bit too like old now.
And
a
couple of years ago,
yeah, I'm like, nah, I'd rather just be with my boyfriend. Like,
I wonder if your answer would be different if you were single.
100%. If my answer,
my hoe phase, like, yeah, get me on TV, like, get me more.
If Dave ever breaks my heart, I will go on another show.
Maths.
Yeah, I will be on maths. Absolutely. No, we're getting married one day.
Transitioning from Bachelor to entrepreneurship, which is mainly the theme of this show. It's been 40 minutes, but we're getting there. So you've got Shaz, the label.
And
well, yeah, we'll get to that. How did that start?
Well, I was really unhappy in my job as a teacher. Still am, but I was super unhappy with it. And I was sick of working for somebody else. And I thought, I'm just going to give this a go. I'm going to start my own business and see how that goes. And of course, I was watching people on TikTok and Instagram be little influencers. And they're like, I started my own business and I sold out overnight. And I was like, easy, I can do that. I've got 70,000 followers. And at the time, I think I had like 14,000 on Instagram. And I was like, perfect, like 80,000 followers altogether. Surely I'm going to be the same as these guys. So I just went ahead and I just went and ordered things. I got a loan from the bank and rushed everything. Within about 2-3 months, I had my business set up, ready to go, dropping my first lot. Biggest mistake of my life.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there and have that 70 million questions. Where will we start? Let's go. Where do we start? Let's go from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. Actually, we'll weave our way through, because I want to talk about, let's say, lie you got sold. Right.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of one of the points of the show, is like we talk about the realness of business, like going home and crying because you don't know how the next thing's going to work. That was just like all the influencers like, yeah, I can do my brand. This is so cool. It's so easy, blah, 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 blah. Selling the overnight success, which is never true.
Yes.
So you go, cool. From that point where you're like, they said it's easy, I'm going to do it. What did you do next? Like, did you do a business plan? Did you speak to like an adult? Did you,
no, I just went ahead and I did speak to a couple of people who had started their own businesses, more so for questions like manufacturing and how does it work. But a lot of people, they kind of gatekeep all that stuff, which is fair enough. I understand why they do that because it is quite a process. But yeah, I just sort of went on a limb and just did it myself and hoped for the best. But yeah, I definitely was sold the dream of overnight success based on influencers being like, oh, whatever, this is how I did it. And of course, in my head, I'm thinking like, if I've got 80,000 followers combined, I've only got 80 pieces of clothing. Out of that 80,000, someone's going to buy them, right?
That's less than 1%.
That's it. Yeah. Like it's going to get out there. Not the case. Don't do it.
So there's a few like things to unpack there. Do you think bit of user error, like
100%.
plan didn't maximize your audience, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff?
I was under the impression that people would buy my stuff because it was me selling it. They followed me for a reason. So they would buy my stuff because it was me selling it. Not everybody is into activewear. Not everybody's into the activewear that I'm into. Not everybody lives in cold climates, so they don't want to, you know, buy hoodies and trackies. Not everybody likes the color that I chose. Like all these little things, not to mention I was like, oh, I'm just going to rely on my following to sort of be my audience and to be my buyers rather than putting it out to other people. It was more just I'll post it on my own personal TikTok. Like I do that for other brands. So like it would obviously work for my own brand, but it doesn't. No.
Where do you think the difference is? Like, you know, you say you post for other people. I'm assuming they were like ambassador, sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think they bought that as opposed to yours? Do you have a guess?
Well, yeah. So they use multiple influencers and they use multiple, you know, strategies, and they've got multiple brand strategies out there. Whereas I just had the one strategy of using my TikTok.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Or my Instagram. And I thought that was going to be enough. Dumb bitch. It's not. Like, and on that note too, like I would post on my Instagram so many times a day or whatever, and people just got sick of that content because they were like, well, I don't follow you for your business. I follow you for you.
Yeah. The girls want the Bachelor goss and the boys think
that's it. So it just didn't work. Like, yeah, you can never sort of rely on that. And on that note as well, I didn't work very hard for it. I was like, I don't need to work hard for this. Of course I do.
Because that was going to be one of my questions of like taking a realistic look. How much effort and time, well, you only put a couple months into it.
Yeah.
You know, speaking to, going from what I've done and people that I've like years.
Yeah.
Months just for the idea, then months for like finding the right manufacturer, then months for finding the distribution. Whereas it can be done.
I was like,
skipped a lot of steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes, you know, a lot of the big dog experts are like, sometimes you get paralysis by analysis and you're just like, oh, which one? You just got to get shit done.
Yeah.
But I think there's some things that you have to actually.
I regret just jumping straight in. Honestly, if I had my time over, I would probably spend like 2, even 3 years planning a business in order for it to really like launch properly and for it to be perfect. Because like I was still getting, you know, items that I wasn't even getting samples for. I would just be like, yep, I want that. Looks good on the camera. Order that. Order 100 of those. Shipping, you know, people don't understand that shipping is so expensive. So while the actual item might only be $12 in AUD, the item will end up being $40 in AUD because of shipping costs.
Yeah.
Shipping my first
It's like shipping to you or shipping to them?
Shipping to me from the manufacturer. $4,000 was one of my shipping costs for my first drop. $4,000.
Yeah.
For like 80 pieces of clothing.
Yeah. It's worse now with all the things that are happening in the world and shipping.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
So I think I went in very naive. I went in very like, yeah, this will work. Like it's easy, whatever. I'll just sell to my people on TikTok. Like they love me. They're always like, oh my God, if I see you about, like I'm going to ask for an autograph, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So here I was thinking, yeah, they'll buy my stuff. Like Anna Paul, you know, people just buy her skincare because it's who she is. Doesn't mean it actually works.
Yeah. So, Kardashian's new sleeping tablet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just because it's them,
Let's
people buy
brand
it.
out, right? Like,
Yeah. Who was I to think that I'm that?
do you think you got caught up in your own little bubble? Like
100
bubble. You're like, I can do this.
Absolutely.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Because at the time I was booming on TikTok and I was getting a lot of like, oh my God, like, love you. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to meet and greet. Like, you know, people thought I was somebody. So I was like, well, they're going to buy my stuff.
Buy my hoodie and I'll meet you.
Yeah. Or I was using a lot of like buy from Charley Label and I'll give you a shout out on TikTok. Because a lot of them were like, oh my God, like, please reply, please respond. I was like, oh, maybe I could like maybe leverage this and be like, yeah, buy from Charley Label and I'll do a packing. I'll pack your order on my TikTok and you'll get a shout out.
Yeah.
So, you know, people would
How'd that go?
Some people did do it, but I was probably like 3 people. Yeah. Like it wasn't a realistic amount. Like,
I mean, you've got to leverage what you have.
That's it.
What you had was your famousness.
Yeah. My
I was going to say it.
Level of pretentiousness.
Yeah. Because you are your brand, right? And the clothing brand is you.
That's it.
So you've only got.
That's it. Yeah. I don't even wear it now.
I'm wearing it.
Yeah, you're wearing it. I do wear my activewear. In fact, I do love my activewear. And my truckies are awesome. My hoodies are awesome. But again, like I was only ordering so many, like 10 of each size.
Yeah. And that's also cost as well.
That's
right?
it.
Like you buy 10,000 units, it's
Yeah.
$1 a unit.
That's
You
it.
10 units, it's $10. And
That's
also the
it.
profit margin is completely different.
Oh, the profit margin, yeah. That I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I was really this like, I want to make my stuff affordable. I want to make it like, so people who don't have money can afford it, because I've never been someone with money personally. So I was always like, I want it to be affordable, but really, really good quality. And that is what it was. But then I am now $12,000 in debt because I didn't make a profit on anything really. I was maybe making $20
per item.
Per item.
Yeah, which is still fine.
But
you didn't
I didn't sell enough. Yeah.
Do you think, so obviously we're not going to, you're not going to necessarily push or continue with the brand.
No.
Right? Do you think, so you've obviously lost the flair for it, right? Or the passion.
Yeah.
Do you think you could still, let's say, dig your way out of the hole? Like if you were like still so into it, or you can't think about that because you're just done with it?
I'm pretty done with it. I have so much stock sitting on my balcony right now that I've honestly got to like organize some sort of a closing down sale.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point where I've even like shut down my Shopify store. Like it's on hold right now. I pay like $9 USD a month to just keep it there, but not running.
Yeah.
So like I'm at a point now where I'd rather just pretend that the $12,000 debt's not there, get rid of all my stock, give it to somebody else to deal with. But I think because it was such a fail and it was such a fail from the beginning, I think I just lost all spark.
Yeah.
Opening night, I think I made, well, not made, like the amount of money that came in was about $3,000. So of course I'm like, oh my God, like I'm making $3,000 in the first night. Like,
I'm rich,
what?
bitch. Let's go.
It started slowing down, and probably within like a month, to be honest, it went really well. I think I made about $7,000 in the first month. And then after that, it just stopped. People just like, to the point where now, no, I don't think I've had one sale this year. Oh, no, I lied. I've had one sale this year.
Yeah, but you haven't pushed it though.
No, I haven't. I haven't even, I've actually forgot that I even have
the store's closed. You just said this.
Yeah.
You got the store, but no one's there.
Yeah, but no one's there to buy it. So
yeah. It's interesting. It's easy to say now. I'd love to see how it would have gone if you actually
put effort in.
Yeah, like put the effort in, did the planning, did the, all the different launch strategies.
Yeah.
Collabs with other people, had your party, get, like all the stuff that you.
I had the money to do that. I would have done that. But
there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
There's no point theorizing about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how, if you don't mind sharing, how the initial purchase, like what was your setup cost?
It's $15,000. So I got $15,000 from the bank and I spent it all.
Yeah.
I spent it.
Stock and what?
Like everything. So stock, like setup of my Shopify account, my Ozpost stuff. Like I just spent the whole $15,000. And then the plan was, which sounds easier said than done, but the plan was to sell everything, make all that money back to $15,000, reinvest that into another lot of stuff, and just keep doing it like that until I start making a profit.
Yeah.
Which I knew wasn't going to happen straight away, but I also spent $15,000, and I think I've got $12,000 to pay back to the bank. So I've only managed to pay off like $4,000 of that loan. And I wouldn't even say that money has come from my sales. I think it's come from my teaching,
just
money,
your living,
my living money. Because another thing I did that was super, super bad was I was using the money from my business account to do things when I didn't have much money. I was like, oh, it's all right. I'll just pay for this from the business account.
Like life shit.
Yeah, like life things. Yeah. And like, like I'm going to go to Bali. I'll just pay. Like I've got $7,000 in the business account. I'll just use that for the flights. Like,
classic rookie era.
Yeah, and I remember Dave was like, "Don't ever do that," and I was like, "Yeah, no, of course not."
Yeah,
and that's why I now have $12,000 to pay back to the bank.
Yeah.
If you're listening from Wealth, just sponsor me.
You've made 10 billion profits, CB.
Yeah, surely you've
throw a dog a bone,
right?
Yeah, that's a common error. Let's say.
Yeah,
and I remember, even when I was PTing, right? Like it's like just PTing. It's an easy trap to get caught into
Yeah.
Especially like PT, 1 week you can earn 3.5K because you've got all these clients. You're like, oh, look at me. I'm like, I earned 12 grand this month. Fuck yeah. And then all your clients leave for whatever reasons and this and that. You're like, oh, now I only earn $500 a week. You got to build it back up again.
Yeah.
Like, you spend your business money or the money you're saving for tax and stuff. Yeah. And you listen, learn.
I know. It's crazy. Isn't it?
I mean, 12 grand is like a lot of money for some people.
Yeah.
But
it's not in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, it's not 50 grand. It's not 100 grand.
Yeah, for a lesson of like, I'm very much, let's try and see what happens. And I'd rather like I would rather go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And try.
Yeah.
Than not try. Because the burning feeling of like, what if? Break me.
Well, that's it. And that's like where my little motto lies with like my saying, like, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
So if not now, then when? Like, when are you going to do it? If you're not going to do it now, are you ever going to do it?
Yeah. Well, that probably was the time because you were popular and the TikToks were working and all that sort of stuff. So you had the following. Yeah. The execution was probably a bit low. So you said that you would obviously do it way differently if you were to do it again. For someone who wants to do it, what would be those things that you would do differently?
Take your time. Like, do not just jump into something. Do research, like liaise with other people who have been in the business. Maybe also research like the kind of thing that you're trying to sell. If you're going into e-commerce, you've got to be passionate about it. It's got to be not an oversaturated business market. Like, that was my first mistake, is I went into activewear. Every man and their dog is doing activewear. Every influencer has got their own activewear brand. So you've got to think about things that you're not competing against. There's this kid on TikTok. I don't know how old he is, but he looks no older than like 14, 15. He's just developed this sand repellent like spray. And apparently you put it on your skin, and if you go into the sand won't stick to you. He's like selling out, and he's like 15 years old. He's developed this like thing that nobody else has. Whereas I was just doing activewear. Everyone has activewear, not to mention huge brands like Nike and Adidas and, Lorna Jane and all that. You got to compete with them on top of the other brands. Tracksuits. Every company does a tracksuit now.
Easy.
Exactly. And so like, you've just got to really focus on things that people want to buy that they don't have a market for, because otherwise you're competing with these huge businesses who have way more options, way more stock. And then, so my number one advice would be take your time. And then my second advice would be to find
your point of difference,
something that's going to make your brand stand out. And God, if you have, if activewear is for you, or if something that is in the oversaturated market is for you, you've still got to make your item different. Yeah. You can't just go in and go, well, they're going to like my stuff because it's like cool colors, or, it fits really nicely or whatever. No, they don't care, because everybody has that.
Yeah. So there's got to be something unique to it. Yeah. The way it's manufactured, where it's from.
Yeah. Unless you've got 6 million followers on your socials, you're not going to sell out overnight just because of who you are.
That company that has those, speaking of sand repellent, those towels.
Yeah.
And the sand doesn't stick to it. Well, it's like, well, everyone has a beach towel.
Yes.
I don't buy beach towels, certainly sand.
That's it. Yeah. Or, the dog harness with the name on it.
Yeah.
What's it called?
That's
it. Dog friendly coat. Yeah. They are huge now, and it's such a simple thing. But
everybody in you said has a dog, first of all.
Exactly.
And has that harness.
And I'll be getting Bentley one of those harnesses as soon as he's old enough.
Because they're actually good.
They're good harnesses.
Shout out
they're
cool. Code. Feel free to send us some.
Yeah. We'll post for you.
Yeah.
Like that kind of a brand has done well. There is plenty of pet stores out there with the same things, but theirs is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would probably add to that too, of you've got to want it.
100%.
I don't necessarily want to say you got to be passionate about it, because you do, but passion is a word that gets thrown around too much. But like, you got to be willing to
work your ass off,
do your normal job, do your teaching job, come home, do 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of that shit, and go back and do that. Like Gymshark is a perfect example.
Yeah.
He would deliver pizzas, then he'd go to school, and he'd come home, then he'd make the things, he'd be up till midnight, like all that sort of stuff. Like, you got to grind it out. It's not easy.
Yeah. 100%. Take your time, but also spend your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Another couple of quick ones. What about misconceptions of the fashion industry? Are there any things you thought going into it something, and then you learned like, oh no, this is like a different realm?
I guess with like the activewear and stuff, like a lot of, especially manufacturing and things like that, you need to have so many items before you can make your own version. So all of my stuff, while it may have been designed by them, anyone else could have bought it as well from another brand. So yeah, you've got to have, I think, like 10,000 items before you can start designing your own, and then you've got to get 10,000 of those. So I guess like the MOQ is something I didn't realize about. There's definitely a misconception in my head. I'm like, I can design my own activewear, send it to a manufacturer, and they'll just make like 10 pairs of it. No, absolutely not. They're not going to do that. They're going to make 10,000 pairs of it, and they're going to charge you for 10,000 pairs. So,
and then you need the equity for 10,000 pairs.
Exactly, which I did not have.
So with school, high school, skip that, Bachelor, and then obviously Chaz, do you think it's changed you a bit? Like, you think you've learned, like, change your personality or learned, like, life stuff, you know, like lessons? What do you...
I've learned life lessons, that's for sure. I've learned that not everything is a quick fix. I've learned that, like, giving it a go was a really good thing for me. But I am really grateful that I only took out a $15,000 loan, because you do have young people out there who take out a $50,000 loan and they end up in my position, but with a $50,000 debt.
Yeah.
I also learned that like business necessarily isn't my thing. I really thought like, oh, business will be my thing. I want to do it. It's really not. E-commerce, I don't have passion for it. I have passion for doing the influencing side, but I would rather do it, leverage that off other brands and help other brands who are already like successful. They can pay me for my job, then I'm not with a loss. You know what I mean? There's no risk for me. So I'm very much like an anti-risk kind of person, I've realized. I don't want to ever take another risk like that again where I'm going to be at a loss, because like in this day and age, you can't really afford to have a loss.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did make me grow up a lot and realize like not everything works out. And you will learn lessons from it, and you can't expect something to just boom overnight.
That's probably a good point, is not, business isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of personality to be able to handle the stuff that goes on.
Yeah. And
you learn that along the way. You don't know until you're in it. Like, you're in it, you're in the trenches, and it's too late. You're like, like I've, you know, some of the stuff that has happened to me with business, and I've had partners at the time, and they've like, just, I come home like, this is what's happening. All my friends and they own business, and they tell me, and they're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can lose your house, and that one thing can go wrong, or COVID can happen and your whole thing gets shut down, and there goes your house, there goes everything. And like, you've got to be willing to like risk that. And some people 100%. Can, some people can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So end of the show, we've got top 3 moments, top 3 questions.
Ooh.
First one is, what's a piece of advice that someone's given you that's like really stuck with you? Not necessarily to do with the label, just in life, anything to do with life. Like, what's one piece that, fuck, I always use that?
I'll go back to my little saying, if not now, then when, because that actually has stuck with me. If you want to do something, you've just got to do it, and you've got to take that risk at the end of the day. Think it through, obviously, but if you're not going to do it now, then when will you do it? And if you don't, like, to me, life is really short now, because I unfortunately lost my brother, as you know. And, you know, when I lost him, I realized life is so short. Like, it can literally be taken away from you at any time. So I think since that, the saying of if not now, then when really has stuck with me. So since that happened on Boxing Day of 2020, I have booked flights to Europe. I've made a career change. I've realized that career change isn't for me, so I'm going back to my old career. You know, I've bought a dog. Like, I've done all these things that I've been talking about doing for so long, but it took losing my brother to realize you need to do things, because if not now, then when? Yeah,
you've gone full YOLO.
Yeah, literally. You only live once, and you don't know when you're going to lose it.
It's such like, I don't know what year it was, but that saying was huge, and it was so lame. Like, actually, it's not.
It's true.
Like, the concept of the saying is so good, but just the way you go YOLO, like, it's.
You get one life, and if you do something stupid to end it, then when you don't get to experience all those things that you talked about for so long, you know, you can't be sitting there going, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to travel. When, bitch?
Yeah.
When are you going to fucking travel the world?
Me with this.
Yeah.
For like 6 months. Oh, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast. And my friend's like, when are you going to fucking do it? Stop talking about it.
Just do it. So that would probably be my one piece of like advice that I've been sort of given.
Yeah. What would be, besides your beautiful first son, Bentley, wherever he is, what would be probably your highlight so far of like just life, Charley?
Life. Probably finding the love of my life. Yeah. Like I said earlier, my life does feel complete at the moment with Dave. I think, I don't know, like finding him, he taught me so much and he continues to teach me every single day. And so I think that being a highlight in my life is pretty easy to say. Like, I think it's just the perfect person for me and I feel complete and I feel like I've lived my life with him. I don't know. Is that like corny? That's so corny. You'll listen to this and be like, oh, what the fuck?
It's corny, but it's real, right? Like it's like from the heart. It's what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then last one, you're a little bit of a lost sheep at the moment, I reckon, going teaching into a different jump back to teaching. Have you thought about like what's on your vision board? I don't know if you have a vision board, but you enter a vision board. Like, where are we at? Do you know? Have you thought about it?
Mental vision board at the moment is just to live my life and to really experience things that I haven't yet done.
Yeah.
Obviously, get through the grief of losing Zach, but eventually find what I want to do. So that's another reason why I wouldn't sort of do like another TV show or anything like that, because my life at the moment is like, you're turning 30 this year, sort out your fucking life, bitch. Like, get a job where you can eventually earn $150,000, $200,000 a year in the long run. Find something that you can progress in, find something that challenges you, and find something that you ultimately enjoy. So that is like where I'm at. I am at a point where, yes, I might be going back to teaching at the moment, but I'll be going back as a supply teacher. So it's not going to be a forever thing. It's going to still give me that leverage to try new things. So yeah, that's my future at the moment. My vision board is to just like find myself and find a career that pays well, that I enjoy and will be an actual career, something that I can say in 10 years' time, I've been doing this. I mean, I have been doing teaching for like 9 years, but like, do you know what I mean? Find something that I'm like, I love it. I've been doing it for 10 years. Like, I'm a senior, you know?
Yeah. It's almost like a little gap year at 30.
Yeah, I know. But this midlife crisis has been happening for 5 years now. And now I'm only just at this point where I'm like, okay, now's the time to find something.
It happens. Like, people, you hear it all the time. People change careers. Like, the amount of podcasts I listen to and they're like 50, 60 years old. And they're like, oh, I was in corporate this till I was 42 and then I went, fuck this and left. And it's like, well, let's change careers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
Had a great conversation. It's very interesting. I appreciate it. And we'll hopefully chat soon.
Thank you so much.